we learn that West Streeting, in particular, the Health Secretary, is on manoeuvres. Now, this attack he made on Nigel Farage and Reform over the weekend was a bit strange for a health secretary. He started talking about them being, you know, the messengers of decline and miserablest decline and all that. It was a big political attack on a rival party that you wouldn't normally expect from a health secretary. So he's got plans. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And we also learned that class warrior education secretary Bridget Phillipson, the enemy of free speech, the one who tried to cancel the free speech on the campuses law. Why would you do that? I don't like that. Don't like the idea of free speech on university campuses. We'll get rid of that law. Well, that's Bridget Phillipson for you, a classic Labour class warrior. Anyway, she sees her route to the top job by garnering support from the left. So the left in the Labour Party is still very important. So these two in particular, others too, I bet, have got plans, have got designs. They're beginning to wait in the wings for Keir's demise. And one thing that they are all watching the clock on is the fact that it is now pretty much accepted that within not too long, Ed Miliband's crazed net zero insanity will deprive this country of power. We'll get blackouts, and once the lights go out, that will make Keir Starmer's premiership extremely fragile, to say the least.
Yeah, well, I know the problem with the Ed Miliband thing, of course, is some of the stuff that he will do by way of infrastructure and contracts with third parties. By the way, mostly foreign investment companies. And of course, Labour, when they were in opposition, railed against the fact that it was foreign companies that bought all of our water and electricity utilities, but of course typically they're doing exactly the same thing. Most of those things, or some of those things certainly, could be irreversible. That's the trouble. So when we do get rid of this hapless shower of intellectual deviance, frankly, politically, then it's unlikely, I think, that some things will be able to be reversed. The Bridget Phillipson thing, though, I mean, that is, I mean, crikey, be careful what you wish for. I mean, she's even further left than Starmer, and we think Starmer is verging on Marxism. Bridget Phillipson even worse. Wes Streeting, I think, as you indicate, not quite so bad. I mean, he's a bit of a Blairite, isn't he? So
I think he's really overrated.
He is.
I mean, all people from our side of the fence, they always go, "I don't mind Wes Streeting. Wes Streeting's all right. Yeah, Wes Streeting's okay." I mean, is he? Yeah, what's he done to the health service so far? I know nothing.
In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. I mean, we haven't got much to choose from, have we? So Wes Streeting is kind of the best of a bad lot. And as you say, the last thing you want is Angela Rayner in power as Prime Minister, although I don't think that will happen. So, but what's interesting, I think, is that, you know, we are now 7 months into this government. I suspect what has happened is most of the parliamentarians in the Labour Party have been convinced themselves to give it time. Let's just give Starmer time to settle. But of course, what has actually happened is he's got worse. I mean, in terms of his lack of judgment, turning his back on pensioners, waspy women, and so on, all of these things that he's doing in a kind of hapless fashion, I think are coming back to haunt him, because despite the fact that Keir Starmer is intending to try and cancel as many local elections in May as he possibly can, and we're now only 3 months away from that, there still will be local elections, whether it's district, whether it's county, and so on. And of course, what's going to happen is that the Labour Party are going to see huge councillor losses, and they will probably lose control of councils. So I think what we're seeing here is a move in anticipation of that bellwether, that barometer in May, even though he's tried to cancel many of those elections just to mitigate the fact that his councillors are going to lose seats in great number. So yes, the manoeuvring has started. This normally happens, of course, in a year or two out from a general election, when MPs start to realise, because of course they're all selfish, that they're about to lose their seats. But I suspect they're seeing that the carnage is going to happen in May, as I say, when those elections take place.
Miliband, by the way, has joined the throng. Obviously, the Prime Minister himself has a personal photographer. I think that costs us about 60 grand a year. Same deal for the Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, who took it upon herself to bestow upon herself the status that she requires a personal photographer, so we're paying for that, taxpayers' money. Who wants pictures of her, or for that matter, to Keir Starmer, come to think of it? I'd pay people 60 grand a year not to take pictures of those two.
Well, now, maybe Wahid Ali, maybe he wants to see what value he got out of all the stuff he gave.
Yeah, probably. Now Ed Miliband has joined the throng. The Net Zero Secretary is advertising for a £41,000 a year role to take pictures of him. Clearly these people, particularly Miliband, they think that they're so important, they're doing such important work that this needs to be documented. These socialist heroes taking us into a bold new era of left-wing prosperity. Trust me, Ed, you do not want to be remembered because people will remember you as the guy who put the lights out in this country. You're on course to do that.
But I guess they've got to document it while they can. I mean, they've probably got, well, we all know they've only got 3.5 to 4 years left, hopefully shorter, but probably 4 years left. It's incredible, though, isn't it, with all their aides, their spads and so on around them, that there isn't somebody amongst each team just with an iPhone that can take a few pictures for nothing. I mean, you would imagine that they would do that, or use the same photographer for all of them. I mean, if you add up the photographer costs, Keir Starmer, Angela Rayner, Ed Miliband, sorry, David Miliband's not back yet, and all of the other front benches that we don't know about yet, no doubt there'll be some more photographer costs revealed soon. This is knocking on the door of hundreds of thousands of pounds just for a bit of posterity.
Well, I estimate that for the Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, and now the Net Zero Secretary, that's around about, well, at least £150,000 a year of taxpayers' money just for a snapper to take little pictures.
That's 5 nurses, by the way.
By the way, let's while we can, let's pay tribute to their egos. I mean, who the hell do they think they are? A bunch of pipsqueaks.
That's 5 nurses and what, 1 train driver?
It's just unbelievable. By the way, just to get in touch with the profound level of hypocrisy here, this lot, they're such hypocrites. So in 2010, when David Cameron, now known hilariously as Lord Cameron of Chipping Norton. These people and stupid titles. Lord Cameron.
Sounds like something out of. Do you remember Camberwick Green and Windy Miller? And it sounds like something out of a kid's cartoon, doesn't it?
Oh, your lordship, be me ever so humble. Anyway, when he advertised for a personal photographer, when he was Prime Minister, I do believe, this is 2010, Ed Miliband, who was then, I do believe, Labour leader, he criticised Cameron and said you shouldn't be hiring a personal photographer at a time when everyone in the country is being asked to tighten their belts. He had a right go at the Prime Minister for getting a personal photographer, but apparently when it's him, that's okay.
Well, and it extends further than just photographers, of course, doesn't it? Because we also know, although the mainstream media haven't really pushed it as much as they should have done, that when it comes to things like helicopters and planes, again, something that likes of Starmer, Rayner and Miliband criticised the previous government significantly for, well, this lot, now they're in government, are using exactly the same planes and exactly the same helicopters to go on dozens, if not hundreds, of trips on an annual basis. Utter hypocrisy.
Yeah, and he's done hundreds of thousands of miles by plane since January. Total hypocrisy. You know, we're all supposed to save the planet, but it's okay for him to fly all over the world, ruining the environment in eco-damaging aeroplanes. So the hypocrisy, as I say, is off the scale. But I mean, he does worry about his image. This is what he said in 2014. He said, this is Ed, "I am not from central casting. You can find people who are more square-jawed." That's true. More chiselled, definitely. And then he said, "who look less like Wallace," as in Wallace and Gromit.
Everybody else. Yeah.
You could probably even find people who look better eating a bacon sandwich than me. Yeah, well, I don't think you'd find anyone who looks any worse. If you want the politician from central casting, it's just not me. It's the other guy. So there he is, being impressively uninterested in image making. It's politics. It's not about image. Now, he's advertising for a photographer who probably will cost us, with London waiting and all that, he gets a communications allowance. It'll cost us the best part of 50,000. So,
but you can't be self-deprecating and say, you know, I'm not bothered about image, and then hire a photographer.
I know,
but you
exactly.
also can't try and improve your image when you're the man that on TikTok and Instagram is still immortalised as the idiot with a ukulele singing in front of a wind turbine. I mean, if you're worried about your image, don't do things like that, Ed.
Yeah, your image is very bad, Ed, and it will always stay like this, whether or not you've got a
Well, it was never
personal
good.
photographer.
Was it?
No,
It's getting
exactly.
worse.
So.